This gives you the power as well as the functionality to give really personalized messaging, whether it be going to an outside party, such as a Google or a Facebook or a LiveRamp, or whether you're directly messaging with that person via SMS or mobile push or an email.
Welcome to Powered by Snowflake, where I interview technology leaders building businesses and applications on Snowflake. I'm your host, Daniel Myers, and today I'm talking with Craig Pohan, Chief Technology Officer of MessageGears. MessageGears is a customer marketing platform that provides audience segmentation, cross-channel message creation, and real-time data availability, and it's powered by Snowflake. Craig, how are you today?
Hi, great. Daniel, thank you for having me on.
I'm excited to have you on the show today. To really kick this off, in your own words, tell me what exactly does MessageGears do and a little bit of history about it.
Sure, gladly. So MessageGears solves the problem of customers putting large investments in their own data platforms and not being able to use it for their marketing and messaging purposes. Up until MessageGears, a lot of the alternatives have been copying or shifting or transforming and loading data into the marketing clouds and thereby duplicating all of your data, exposing your company to extraordinary amounts of risk, and not giving you the power of all of the changes in your data that happen on a day-to-day basis. MessageGears sits directly on top of the customer's data environment and powers almost all of your marketing communications.
That is pretty exciting to hear. So tell me more about kind of the current trajectory of MessageGears, and how big of a company are you today, and some notable stats.
Sure, absolutely. So the company in size right now is 70 employees, and as you know, it takes a while to actually get the momentum when you're showing up with a completely different approach, a completely different platform. But over the past couple of years, we've been hitting upwards of the 60 and 70% growth churn for our audience, and without losing a single customer. So we've had a very, very strong, steady customer base, growing at high percentage points, up 60, 70% on a year-over-year basis. And I think the best is yet to come. We're finally getting our name out in the marketplace. People are understanding why it is so important to leverage the data that you have in your environment. And our doors are open. We're ready to support all those customer use cases.
That's some really exciting growth. So you mentioned that MessageGears sits inside of the customers and operates inside the customer's environment. What do you mean by that?
Correct. Yeah. The MessageGears approach is it's a data application that it's comprised of two components. The very first component sits within the customer's data environment, connects to their data cloud, and connects to that, their Snowflake environment themselves. And MessageGears has zero access to that environment. So it is completely private and walled off, and the customers can leverage their own data to build marketing programs and campaigns. And once they're ready to activate or to a different channel or to send a message to their customers, that smaller subset of data goes to our MessageGears cloud environment, where we also sit on top of our own Snowflake environment that we process the activity. We will deliver it out to the channel, Facebook and Google, and send emails and SMS and mobile push, and do each one of those activities on behalf of the customer. And then at the end of every operation, we return the data, the individual events for deliveries and opens and clicks and all those campaign activation. We deliver them back into the customer's Snowflake environment without any extra hands involved along the way.
So that's a pretty powerful architecture, and it really seems like it's one where you're giving the control of the data, the customer's data, to the customer. So do you have a diagram or architectural overview that can kind of really sink it in to show where Snowflake sits within your tech stack?
So as I was mentioning, MessageGears is a Snowflake connected application. So we fall into the component where we sit directly on top of your data. On the left-hand side, you'll see what we consider the older model, where a customer would have large amounts of ETL operations shifting their data to a SaaS provider. I think there's also the reverse ETL operations, which are still shifting data to a SaaS provider. And that is effectively creating a duplicate of data storage. And it's also putting you open to exposure for your entire marketing list and all the properties you know about that person. Whereas on the figure 2, the model on the right, we're a connected application. So we literally sit on top of the customer's data environment. It never moves. And only the data used to send yourself or one of the billions of messages we've sent to the user, only that data ever leaves the environment. And so it gives a lot of opportunity, if you will, to the marketing teams to think outside the box and not think about mapping data to their provider to build campaigns.
That's really cool and really interesting to see, because it really seems like in an architecture like that, your customers are able to leverage the data that they already have and join it with other data that they may have about their product and other data they may have about their customers, while at the same time benefiting from the platform that you've built. Can you talk to me, about why did you choose to do a connected application architecture?
Absolutely right. So one of the big driving points was to empower marketers to use their data in whatever fashion they would like. We saw the problem where every marketer, every large enterprise customer would have to figure out how their data schema, their structure wedges into their SaaS provider structure and mapping all the columns. But in the reality, in the modern world, that data structure isn't permanent. It's very fluid. It constantly is changing. And the data points around the customer themselves is constantly changing. So we regularly see customers go from starting off with us with only about 30 or 40 attributes on an individual user, and that blows out into hundreds and thousands of attributes once you start harnessing the power of machine learning and the data science team within the customer's environment. They're able to really target and specialize their product. So the diagram you see here, we focus on access within that customer's brand environment. And that is where it's a great partnership with Snowflake, because the Snowflake Marketplace can help naturally extend all of their data as well. And it becomes embedded directly into our product also at that point. And then obviously the segmentation and activation still happens within your environment. So marketers who may want to activate on credit score or something that may be very personal that they have, but they don't want to share, they can do that now. They can do that all within their own environment. It never leaves the actual boundaries of their data environment. And then the only thing that gets ever published to an activation or execution side is just the contents inside of the message. And so that's where we feel this is a really strong offering that beats every other model we've seen out there.
So Craig, this is pretty awesome. Let's see a demo of it today.
Sure, absolutely. So here I've just dived right into the application. We offer some high-level information regarding some of the audiences and content and campaigns that may be available. I'm going to dig right into what we consider, let's call it a blueprint. It is an opportunity for the marketer to take what is a large audience and then break that part, segment that part into a lot of smaller components and put their business logic to work without having to rewrite queries or change customer records. So I'm starting with a relatively small audience of 1.9 million people. And the first qualification I'm going to do is just confirm whoever is marketing eligible. And so for this particular customer, we're saying that you are marketing eligible if you don't have any bounced emails and you have not unsubscribed. So if you've hit one of those conditions, you're going to wind up going out to being a non-marketing eligible amount. And you'll see that we have about 300,000 of those 1.9 million who are not marketing eligible. Once you start getting all those individuals, we can start putting more business rules and stacking up rules to actually segment out these users. And there's one fun thing that I didn't highlight in the beginning. You can actually augment the data that you have inside of your Snowflake environment with what we consider labels, where we are building out these 3 labels for what campaign identifier, segment identifier, what offer you should receive. And we're going to use these business rules a little bit farther down to determine which one you should receive. So if you happen to be a cart abandoner, we are going to say that, for whatever reason, you have an abandoned cart and it's not empty, that we're going to say, we're going to give you the comeback campaign ID and the cart abandoned segment ID. You can use these IDs and these labels in order to tailor the right message for the right person, then also record all of this data back into your Snowflake environment to understand why you reached out to that person alongside all of the attributes that you know about that person. And so another fun thing is you can build this campaign along the way where you're either merging data points, filtering, targeting, or splitting. So let's just say you have, they're not inside of your loyalty programs. What do you do with those individuals? Well, you can still have offers that get split up where 40% of your audience, you're going to give a 50% off, 30% a buy one, get one, and you're going to do a holdout on that remainder of 30%. So you can use all this data in order to make the best marketing messages that you can for these users. Now, the data I'm showing you here is directly off of your Snowflake data environment. So these columns are direct from your environment. They can either be structured data or unstructured data. And then as you scroll over to the side, you'll identify these individual labels that you were applying along the way as they went through that journey of a blueprint. This gives you the power as well as the functionality to give really personalized messaging, whether it be going to an outside party such as a Google or a Facebook or a LiveRamp, or whether you're directly messaging with that person via SMS or mobile push or an email.
This is a really powerful platform that you've built. Can you talk and explain a little bit on how and why did you choose Snowflake to build this platform on?
So one of the obvious reasons for building on top of Snowflake is the fact that it's a very powerful data cloud that can really, A, digest all of the customer data that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and then B, expose that in a very fast fashion to the marketers themselves. They're able to count up their audiences, preview their audiences, and so those types of rapid data exploration is typically not available on every data warehouse. So the power of Snowflake starts off with our ability to get that data. Additionally, the ease of onboarding new data elements is another good reason for using Snowflake. We use it for all of our activation of campaigns where we will publish all of this data back into the customer's environment, as well as for all the events that we have coming from the MessageGears environment. We offer the customer ability to get the events directly or through Snowflake data sharing. So I think the versatility of the Snowflake offering is why it just made sense for us to build on top of Snowflake.
That's awesome. And, so you mentioned data sharing. You previously mentioned the connected app architecture and even things like structured, unstructured, semi-structured data. Can you talk to me a little bit more on how you're using structured versus semi-structured versus unstructured data, and how does that impact how you interact with the customer data?
So the MessageGears platform itself is schemaless. This, as I pulled up in a preview, this just happens to be our default profile schema, but there's nothing holding the customer to any type of schema. So in reality, the power that this can provide is, and what we've seen on a common basis, is a lot of customers' segmentation rules or a lot of their internal business logic will build out a structured column that they can then leverage that structured data along the way through their actual marketing criteria in order for you to grab the right element and then apply the right rule for that. So the customer's environment is the system of record, if you will. Internally, MessageGears uses structured data for all of the absolute events which happen, but then a lot of those attributes for each event get rolled into the unstructured data sets so that we can readily share that to the right information to the right customer.
That's pretty powerful. So, fast forwarding 6 months, 1 year down the line, what's next for MessageGears, and what should your customers be excited about?
Sure. No. So what we're tackling now and what we're going through today is looking at a lot of the data operations that it takes to build out very sophisticated marketing campaigns. Now that customers have the ability to sit right on top of their data and build out their campaigns. They're starting to build more elaborate campaigns that include data transformations. They include data augmentation, as I mentioned, through the Snowflake Data Marketplace. What we're building right now is simplifying all those processes, making it where the marketer has full control over all of the data elements, the data blocks that go into building a marketing campaign, and all of the sequencing or the order of steps, the orchestration, if you will, to make sure that the campaigns are being all delivered at the right time with the right data set.
That's exciting. So, Craig, if somebody wants to learn more about you or about MessageGears, where should they go?
Well, they can easily find us at MessageGears.com. And as well, they can also find me on LinkedIn, Craig Pohan, or they can find in any one of our other social channels, MessageGears.
That's great. And Craig, very much big thank you for joining me here today on the show. And for everybody that's watching here now, if you're looking to build your next application on Snowflake, check out developers.snowflake.com and be sure and check out the other episodes here for Powered by Snowflake on YouTube. Thanks.